Brandon Figueroa didn't defeat Nick Ball with that left hook in the 12th round, because for large stretches of the fight, Nick Ball looked like the better boxer. The technique was cleaner, the timing was sharper, he was landing the better shots. But what Ball couldn't counter was the relentless pace that's become Brandon Figueroa's trademark. The pressure, the volume, the constant forward movement. It didn't win the fight all at once. It wore on Nick Ball, round by round, slowly shifting control towards the challenger. By the time the left hook landed, the fight was already gone. The damage had accumulated and the pace had taken its toll, and the ending was just the final moment of a fight that had started slipping away rounds earlier. Nick Ball lost the fight, lost the title, and reminded everyone just how unforgiving boxing can be. Now, Nick Ball is a very slick boxer. He's got good skills, and sometimes like good skills aren't enough, you know. He did a really good job early on against Brandon Figueroa. If you missed it, he got knocked out in round 12 by Brandon Figueroa. A big left hook sent him crashing face down on the canvas for like 4 or 5 seconds of the 8 count. He managed to get up and got knocked out, sent through the ropes. The ref rightly called it off. But, you know, Nick Ball looked good early on. He was dealing with the pressure of Brandon Figueroa very, very, very well. You know, his counter striking was great. He managed to keep Figueroa off of him. He did a lot of good things, you know, a lot of uppercuts, a lot of body work. He's doing a good job trying to slow down Figueroa to a point to where he can manage things, and he's coming up top, he's landing on Figueroa, but it just seems like he can't do anything. But that, you know, in boxing you're gonna come across guys that like you can't hurt. So then you're gonna have to like gain the respect a different way. Like, oh man, you can't hit me. Like, think about like Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Like, Crawford couldn't actually hurt Canelo, but he broke Canelo in a different way to making it to where he was so hard to hit, nothing that Canelo did worked. And like, remember that moment, Canelo's just shaking his head because he can't get anything going on Terrence Crawford. That's what Nick Ball had to do against a Figueroa, a guy who's constantly coming forward. Or like a Jose Valenzuela when he beat, you know, Emmanuel Navarrete. You know, you gotta just stick out the jab, make sure you know, you're getting your shots in, make sure you're getting them well. But Nick Ball couldn't do any of that. Figueroa did a good job of, you know, cutting off the ring and getting to him time and time again. And Figueroa's not like the best mechanic puncher at all. You know, he's not some slick boxer that's going to go in there and beat up somebody with finesse and stuff. He's a switch hitter and he makes things hard, but like, he fought out of southpaw most of this fight. And if you know you're fighting a switch hitter like a Brandon Figueroa, who's a very good fighter, like if you didn't think Figueroa was a good fighter coming into this, like, that's your mistake. But like, if you're Nick Ball, you're gonna be ready to fight a southpaw and an orthodox. And like, in your training camp, you need to be doing a round southpaw, around orthodox, around against southpaw, orthodox, over and over. Fresh fighter each time. He has to be ready for this. He was looking for his 4th title defense, and guys, I like Nick Ball. I like Nick Ball a lot. I think he's a fun fighter. He's good for the sport, you know. But you've got to do a better job of dealing with pressure the way he did. Like, that was his first loss. You know, he's beat a TJ Doheny, Sam Goodman. I'm looking at it here. Like, he's got some good wins on his resume. Raymond Ford he beat. Ray Vargas, that you know, that went to a draw. But he knocked down Vargas. But like, when you rely on your power so much, it's like, I'm looking at box right here and it's telling me like Rios, when he beat Ronnie Rios, down once in the 3rd, 7th, and 10th rounds, corner thrown in the towels. Doheny it got rough. But the point I'm making is like, he has to be ready to come up against somebody who's like going to survive. You know, he's going to make this a dogfight, and that's exactly what Brandon Figueroa did. He's not a slick boxer by any means. His pressure, his pace, his athleticism, his volume, that's what keeps him in fights. Like, the dude's punching like this. Yeah. And I get kind of, you know, slipping your head to the outside and coming over top, but he was jabbing, guys. He was jabbing. He's not a slick boxer. He's a good boxer. He's a very, very good boxer, as I've seen, like, with the Stephen Fulton majority decision loss. You know, he gave Stephen Fulton a hard time. He beat Luis Neri pretty badly. Figueroa's a good fighter. And to sleep on him the way that Nick... I can't even say that, guys. I'm gonna retract that statement. Nick Ball didn't really sleep on him. He came prepared. He came and fought a good fight. But you're watching this fight. And you're watching... Oh, Nick Ball's looking good. Okay, Figueroa's fighting his way back into this. Good job. Oh, man. Nick Ball's kind of slipping here. And then by the end, by like round 9, 10, 11, Brandon Figueroa's beating him up. Like, beating him up bad. You're like, ooh. Okay, Nick Ball. Hopefully you got enough rounds banked in the earlier rounds, or hopefully you can pull something out. Turns out he couldn't. Sucks. I know. But this fight was just frustrating. And like at the end of the day, you've got all of this damage, all of this accumulation of damage from Brandon Figueroa. And he landed some good punches on Figueroa, but Figueroa's trading time for punches. You know, eventually his chin will go. Eventually. You couldn't do anything with it. So you had to have a game plan B. And he didn't. It lost him the fight. And lost him the fight devastatingly, too. Yeah, I mentioned at the top, I said, the fight wasn't won with that left hand, that Figueroa, that straight left. Or we call it straight left. He come over the top with it, really. But Figueroa's so awkward, like you kind of, have to make do with terminology. But y'all watch the fight. Y'all know he, boom, put him down. And like, Nick Ball was face down on the canvas. It wasn't that one punch that did it. It was the accumulation of damage from round 1. From the very first punch that Brandon Figueroa landed, it started a butterfly effect to what we saw into round 12. To the last round. Very beginning of the last round at that. But it started that butterfly effect. And, the athleticism kept Figueroa in this, and Nick Ball's known for being able to go late and knock out late, but we've just seen, like, there's a difference between being able to go late and being bred to go late. And, like, Brandon Figueroa was bred to go late. Bred to get late round knockouts. Not quite the same pace as, like, in the Manuel Navarrete, but, very, 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 very high pace. Very fun fighter. Again, not slick, sure, not slick at all, but a very fun fighter. And, like, we know Brandon Figueroa is a good boxer. We know it from just the Fulton fight, We've known this for a long time. And his only 2 losses are to Stephen Fulton. The first one, auspicious, but nonetheless, we know how good Brandon Figueroa is. He's got some good fights lined up for him, man. He's got some really good fights. This division, this featherweight division that he's in, you've got Nick Ball. You've got Rafael Espinoza, who's a fun fighter. Bruce Carrington is a good fighter. Like, Neri, he's already beat, I believe. Leo, Goodman, there's some fun fights out there for him. It's just, can he get the job done? And I think he can. I don't think he's a world beater. Like, they were talking about Nick Ball potentially fighting Inoue. I don't know why, but regardless, I don't think Figueroa will beat Naoya Inoue. But it would be interesting to see. It'd be how does Inoue deal with that kind of pressure? Inoue probably waxes him and puts him down and out of his misery. But nonetheless, you still got to make these fights. You can't just say, "Oh, I know Inoue would beat him." Like that. No, don't book that. Like, I know he was going to lose to Stephen Fulton, but the first fight was Figueroa's to lose, and a lot of people thought he won it. So you gotta book the fights. You gotta give him the opportunity. And giving him the opportunity is exactly what they're going to do. He's got a belt now. Like, Xander Zayas has 2 belts. A lot of people see him as easy pickings. Well, let's find out. Book him against Boots. Book him against Virgil Ortiz. Fundora. Book him. Book him. Book the fights. Brandon Figueroa is a tough test for anybody. Now he's a world champion. And people are going to be gunning for him. Is it the right people or is it the wrong people? Either way, we're in for a treat.